Dear Digital Extremes, my name is Chaotic Angel 121. I would like to talk about a few things that need to be talked about, that the community always isn't willing to talk about. For one, I would like to start with acknowledging that you overall make decent content. However, going into the first topic, you don't make evergreen content. So my ideas for evergreen content would actually be kind of like a dungeon-esque type event where you could go in and get maybe fully crafted parts for regular warframes, maybe relics that have been vaulted for a while, um, new items, Umber former blueprint, reusable former blueprint. There's no way to tell what you would add. I don't feel like even if you guys were to add something like that into the game, it wouldn't necessarily work out. There's another thing that really should be added, which is I think the standing for Plains of Eidolon and Orval should be removed, just entirely. Um, those content patches are so old that having a max standing on them doesn't really mean anything anymore. I think new players who get into the game should just be able to grind it out and be able to kill the exploiter orb because there's no standing requirement for Eidolons. I think for max rank, if you are rank 5 in a syndicate or standing, I don't think there should be a maximum amount of standing anyone could get. Because at that point, you already have everything unlocked. Why why make people spend just so they don't waste standing? I would really like to revamp old mission types. Hive Sabotage is excellent. All of the Dark Sector missions. They need a refresh. I'm not completely sure on how you guys would do that, but it needs to be done. Now, this is kind of out of date because of the new player experience, but the first note I had here was the that a player should be able to pick any frame that they start with. Um, I don't think they're going to do that. It would be nice that if someone did a little research about the game and look at all the frames to see like which one they would want, be able to actually pick one they start with, but I don't think that one will happen. Now for the part that will upset a lot of people, which I'll probably get a lot of rage at, the Riven market. DE. We have to do something about Riven market. It, I get that it's an optional thing that players don't really need, but because of how rare some items are, how rare some stat combinations are, it doesn't mean you shouldn't do something about it. When a Riven can cost over 300 United States dollars for, because it costs 9, 10,000 plat, and you think that's okay, and the fact that you think the nerfing of the stats for a popular weapon is okay, and when I look back at older videos, you guys were claiming that, oh, the Riven is only for weaker weapons that people don't use. But then the next day, people were seeing Tonkor ribbons, and you guys still didn't see a problem with that. The fact that the most overpowered weapons are still getting ribbons and not the less popular ones, or buffing weapons that already exist, that already have maxed out, maybe doing that would help too, to distribute ribbons. But no, you guys willingly choose to ignore the ribbon market. You guys willingly choose to ignore the ribbon issue. And then you add on more with the helmet system. But before we go on to the helmet potential issues with the helmet system, I'm going to start talking about ribbons. Ribbons. We have to make stat locking a thing. Yes, would it potentially crush the ribbon market? Yes. Is this a market that needs to be crushed? Yes. In my personal opinion, ribbon stat locking at least 1 or 2 stats with an increased cost of Kuva per stat should be a thing in game, where rerolling a ribbon wasn't just gambling, in a sense that you were able to keep a few stats on a ribbon. Because even if you have an okay ribbon, it is not worth the reroll to reroll it to something better, potentially better, because you have 2 good stats on it versus having 3 and not a great negative. That choice was ripped out of the player's hands because of Digital Extremes, where the ability to stat lock would fix that. I think the player should have more choice. Also, number 2, no longer have the strength of a ribbon based off its popularity. If you were, like I said at the start of this section, were to apply buff and nerf based on the weapon itself instead of the actual strength of ribbons, things would work out a lot better. But you guys don't, because I don't know. I really don't. I would really like to know what you guys are thinking about ribbons and what you guys are going to do about them. And then number 3. There needs to be a better way to get ribbons than just the ribbon market. I think, in my opinion, that ribbon traders control the market. There isn't a realistic way to get a good ribbon outside of trade chat, or potentially rolling it 100 times, maybe 200 times to get a decent roll. Not even a god roll, not the best roll. You can get a decent roll. I don't think that's fun. I don't think that's engaging. It isn't. For something that is ultimately useless, and 99% of cases, no, it's not worth it. It's not worth spending potentially 20 to 24 hours to get Kuva to re-roll a ribbon that just isn't needed. And I don't think the argument of, well, it's not needed so it doesn't need to be fixed, is good enough anymore. Because that's not an argument a game company should use, ever. It's sure it's not needed, but it doesn't mean it needs to be broken like the way it is. And lastly, I would like to talk about potentially endgame. Well, it's not lastly, there are more things after this. I would like to see a boss blitz mode, where you encounter buffed out bosses that would have more strength, have more abilities, and potentially have more ads depending on the boss fight. But there would be a cost. So for every boss you kill, they would get stronger and get more abilities. But I don't think leveling scaling would be enough. Why I added in the abilities. What the abilities would be, I have no idea. That would be up to Digital Extremes. But also I would say you don't have your full powered mods up until I would say the last tier rewards, where you're really getting into the meat of this content. But let's go on to the rewards, because I do have those planned out. 0 to 10 bosses would drop commonly 1 fully crafted forma. That would include stance forma, ore forma, and regular forma, and would have a chance at an Exilus adapter of either Warframe or weapon fully crafted. 20 to 30 would be potatoes. Just potatoes. Which would come to an ultimate of 30 plus. Would be all the above, but the rare now would be fully crafted Umbra formas. So the Exilus adapter from 0 to 10 would be the uncommon drop. The potatoes would still more likely be part of the uncommon drop, but the forms would be common drops. This is something the average player actually needs because all those items are in high demand at all times. Everyone needs forma. Everyone needs potatoes. Well, not everyone needs Umbra forma, but it's just a nice thing to have. There are a few things that I'm going to add on the end. Digital Extremes. This is a message to you guys. I feel like you guys don't listen to the player base anymore. I feel like oftentimes your content creators are also being ignored. Don't get me wrong, this isn't an attack against you. Whoever may be listening to this. Or not. But I would like to see some issues fixed. I would like to see trade banning after longer missions fixed or looked at. I know it's still an issue because of Steel Path. But why has it been fixed? I think that maybe expanding your testing team would be a little bit better. I get in some situations having a small testing team would be understandable. But the issue is we oftentimes deal with more than small incidences which turn into major bugs. But there's one last thing. Digital Extremes. Based off the helmet system, I am concerned for power creep in Warframe. Yes, we have a power fantasy. However, I think the helmet system leads us down a slippery slope that will inevitably change Warframe forever. The ability to throw on other Warframe's abilities without thought of what repercussions that could do is intoxicating. The fact that if you go into a Harrow with Avara's quiver and give your teammate a 200% crit, 400% crit buff. Sorry, crit buff. I don't think that's okay. I would really like you guys to relook at the helmet system before launch. I would really like you guys to stop the islands of grind. I would really like you guys to listen to the community. But this is what I think. I would really like for someone at DE to outreach to me. I know I'm not part of your creator program. I'm too small. But I would still like to someone at DE to try to reach out to me and talk to me. And even if I have to sign an NDA to talk to you, and I have to keep my lips sealed, I would do that to know, to at least try to inform the community on what's going on your side. Because currently your guys' lips are sealed on what's going on with the very paradox and the new war. With the Corsola system, I am scared of power creep because this shows a terrifying trend, and a trend that would ruin the game and all forms of difficulty you had left. Yes, I know Warframe doesn't have difficulty, but with the Chrysalis system, there will be none left. This has been Chaotic Angel 121, signing off.